In this video, we'll prepare a full cash and GPP lineup on the main slate for FanDuel. Coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lay.
And I'm Michael Wiley, and we're the Fantasy Football Consultants. Hey, Eric, I think we know that about half the folks that are watching this video are not subscribed to the channel. Disappointing. Let's make sure you guys hit that red subscribe button. Join us. We'd love to share more of our content with you.
All right, so let's get into the studio and start with a cash lineup and then GPP.
Let's do it. All right, Eric, here we are on the main slate for this weekend. Let's start with running backs like we usually do. We got a couple of bell cows right here at the top. Do we want to pay up this week and go with one of these top guys?
When I think those guys can be difference makers, the answer is always yes. But I have concerns about each of those top four guys. Different reasons for different things. Both Taylor and Eckler, I'm worried about their supporting cast. Whether Michael Pittman Jr. will be playing, so they'll crowd the box if he's not, and I'm also worried about whether Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen will be playing. So I'm going to get a guy who I am almost as confident with, and I get to save some money, Joe Mixon. In a very good matchup, he's favored facing a New York Jet team that is below average, and I'll be kind. Defense, while the fact that he is a major workhorse. This guy has gotten 34 and 22 touches in the first couple of weeks. He has not gotten a touchdown yet, and that is only because of a circumstance, because he's absolutely the goal line back. No one else is going to get a rushing touchdown on this team, because even Joe Burrow doesn't get rushing touchdowns. So I think game script will be in their favor. I like Joe Mixon here this week to have his first breakout game.
Yeah, I really like this pick. Even if he was a little bit more expensive, going up against the Jets with Cincinnati being down 0-2, I think they're going to give this guy the ball, and he is going to get in the end zone and have a lot of touches.
Okay, Robert Saleh is mad at both of us. That's all right. He has the receipts. All right, where are we going to go there? I did spend some money on Mixon. So I am going to now save money. I'm going to go way down at a paltry $5,800 on FanDuel. We get a guy who has become the lead back. This is after a disastrous first week where all the hype in the preseason was, this is the guy. He is going to be amazing. He's had a great preseason. He's a rookie, but he's going to be great. And Rex Burkhead had the majority of the carries. But that changed last week against Denver. It was Dameon Pierce who was the lead back. I think you want to be careful with this guy. You want to have a situation where you think that the game will stay close. And I think playing the Chicago Bears, that who I think is one of the worst teams in the NFL, I think the game will be close. And by the way, Pierce faces the Bears, who so far are dead last rush ranking defense.
Yeah, no, I like this pick because of the bargain and what it allows us to do at the receiver position. I don't have anything else to add.
All right. So now what do you want to do with the wide receiver position?
Well, I love that you're helping me out here. You're letting me spend some money. So let's go all the way to the very top, and let's go with Cooper Kupp.
Oh my goodness. This guy is like got a lifetime contract on our DFS lineups.
Yeah, I mean, he's just, to me, the most sure thing right now in the NFL. And from a fantasy perspective, even when they're ahead, they're getting in the ball. At the beginning of the game, this last game, it looked like he wasn't going to get his touches. And what does it do? He ends up with 11 catches for 108 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he's getting the ball. He gets the ball every week. You said it on our other show, 15 out of the last 23 performances, he's had over 100 yards catching. He is the go-to for Stafford, the closest thing to a sure thing from a high floor perspective. Let's spend the money. Let's get Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, I love how Sean McVay really schemes to make sure he gets the ball in Cooper Kupp's hand. Even when teams try, hey, we're going to try to stop him. They throw to him behind the line of screens. They throw to him deep. Crossing patterns, everything. All right, so Cooper Kupp. All right, there you go, Michael. Where are you going to go next?
Am I spending too much money?
Well,
All right,
I'm a little nervous.
I'll keep spending money. Let's go.
All right, let me give you a hint. Let's see. Hang on a minute. All right, there you go. Who you like in this range?
Oh man, sorry, that's not where we're going. We're gonna stay with a guy who similarly is maybe almost as close to a sure thing. 8 games in a row where he's had at least 8 receptions. You said that on the show. It's Amon-Ra St. Brown. At least it's not Equanimous. A little bit harder to say. Who also had a pretty nice game. He's just getting all these touches. He's going up. He has a nice matchup this week as well. Minnesota has not been good against the pass. We saw him get beat up the other night by the Eagles. And so I just feel like he's such a special talent. He's a few $1,000s less than Cooper Kupp. So he seems like a bargain to me. Let's get Amon-Ra St. Brown into the game.
All right. So guys, that's our show. We don't have any more money to spend. Figure it out. Woo! No. Hang on. We have already figured out how we're going to make this work. And I'm sure many of you are trying to figure out how we're going to do that. And right off the bat, I'm going to save us big time money. At only $5,100, I'm going to get arguably, the lead wide receiver on one of the highest scoring teams in the NFL. How about Arizona? Greg Dortch. And you're like, whoa, come on, Eric. What are you trying to sell us? The lead wide receiver. Well, that's because DeAndre Hopkins is suspended. That's because Rondell Moore is injured. And yes, Hollywood Brown should be the lead wide receiver, but guess who's caught more receptions than anybody so far this year in the short two games? It's Greg Dortch. And Michael, I have to believe, playing the Rams, that Ramsey will be on Hollywood Brown. So I think that there's going to be, once again, opportunities for Greg Dortch. And at only $5,100, that is a tremendous bargain on FanDuel. I feel like we got to get him in our lineup.
Yeah, I know we got to save money thanks to my last 2 picks. And I agree. He's arguably going to be the number 1 this week in terms of targets because of that impact that Jalen Ramsey has. And Arizona's going to have to throw the ball.
It's going to be a high scoring game. LA Rams are 31st against wide receivers. Interesting. All right. So let's go to tight end. And once again, talk about the fact that we need to save money. I'm not even going to, can't even look at Kelsey. Wow. I got to admit, if you just do a different lineup structure, FanDuel has Kelsey reasonably priced. I mean, there's a huge difference on DraftKings between Kelsey and Andrews, but here they're basically the same price. I like the matchup against Indianapolis, but we can't afford them, so I'm not even going to talk about it anymore. So let's keep scrolling down. Yes. Could get Irv Smith, but he's too expensive for us. So let's go to Juwan Johnson. Oh my goodness. Look, guys, actually, this isn't as bad as you may think. He's a guy who looks like Jameis Winston is very comfortable with him, with 5 and 7 targets. Couple of statistics for you guys who might not know about Juwan Johnson. He ran 65 routes of the 87 Winston dropbacks. That's 77%. So I don't care if he blocks, he's going out for passes regularly, which is what we like. He has completely taken Adam Troutman's job as a pass catching tight end on New Orleans. And he's gotten 12 targets, which represents 16% of the target share. Not bad for a cheap tight end.
Yeah, it's exactly what you're looking for in tight end, is the guy who's getting those targets. I think, for the price savings that you have, he's as good of an option as others. There's maybe a couple other names that seem a little bit more that you might be used to seeing, like Robert Tonyan or even Noah Fant. So those are, those are also, decent options here as well. I just think.
Can I comment about Robert Tonyan? If you haven't been watching Green Bay, he's coming off something Michael and I know all about, an ACL, really quickly, and they're easing him in. So he's not playing that much. So I definitely like Johnson more than Tonyan. I think whenever he gets into the regular scheme of things, then he'll be a bargain, but not yet.
All right. Should we go to quarterback?
Sure.
Yeah, because I want to spend some money, and you're letting me spend some money this week. So you
All
saved
right.
us some money.
Wait a minute.
Thank you.
Okay. You are forbidden to pick Josh Allen.
Okay, I won't go with Josh Allen, who's obviously tempting from a performance perspective, but he's just too expensive, as is Patrick Mahomes, as is Lamar Jackson, understandably, after the performance that he just had, but who also had a really good performance and is a few $100 less. Jalen Hurts. Really high floor with this guy with how he uses his legs. He does it every week. Lamar Jackson's, does it here and there. So love the floor here. Nice matchup against the Washington Commanders. So I think Jalen Hurts is nice and a few $100 less than some of those other guys that we were just talking about.
He's the new Lamar Jackson, a guy that consistently gets double-digit carries and has the ability to throw the ball. AJ Brown adding to this roster really helps Jalen Hurts out, and we just love the matchup against Washington.
Yeah, so, and I'm convinced he'd be priced higher if that game had been played on Sunday.
Yeah, just to explain that further to make sure everyone understands, this pricing was done on Sunday night, and it doesn't impact this huge game that he had against Minnesota. So, okay, are you trying to argue that he's a bargain? Is that what you're trying to sell me?
He's a $300 less than he would have otherwise been.
There you go. Thank you for saving us money. All right, so we still have $10,400, and guess what? We're gonna go cheap on defense. So I am gonna spend some money in the flex spot. And I'm really shocked that this guy is as cheap as he is on FanDuel. Give me Leonard Fournette. Everything you would want in a running back, we have in Leonard Fournette. He's at home. He's favored. He faces a team that has a suspect rush defense. And he is a bell cow. Look at the touches he's getting, 23 and 26. And I think the reception is going to go higher. In previous years, he's gotten a lot more receptions from Tom Brady. And I expect, since the dearth of wide receivers, Mike Evans thought that he was not playing football but was boxing last week. So he got suspended. So he's not playing. Julio Jones and Chris Godwin are both very questionable. It's highly likely that at least one of those guys won't be playing. So they are expected to score a lot of points. They have a good implied total. Man, what's the downside for Leonard Fournette? I guess just that he hasn't scored, but he's told us it's coming.
That's right.
All right, it's time. You know the dating game? You bring out 3 potential dates. Let's play the dating game with 3 defenses. We have contestant number 1, Arizona. Contestant number 2, Detroit. No, don't want to talk about those. Give me Jacksonville. How about the defense that actually pitched a shutout last week? Man, they actually have some playmakers on their defense. Now, danger. This could be a very good matchup or a nightmare matchup against the LA Chargers. Normally, this is not a good matchup. I can't sell you guys a bag of goods here. But there's a question mark of whether Keenan Allen will play. He was out last week. And there's a major question mark whether Justin Herbert will play. I mean, some people think fractured rib cartilage. There's no way this guy is going to play. If they get a backup quarterback, Wow, I would love to see that at only 2,200. Give me Jacksonville.
Exactly. Yeah, no brainer, at least amongst the three suitors that we had.
All right, let's talk GPP. Every time you do GPP, you want to have a stack. Why? Because we're going for that high ceiling and we want correlation in our lineup so we don't have to independently be right with every pick. So I am wanting to attack one of the two highest scoring games, and I am going to fade where I think most of the public are going to go, which is they're going to run to that Buffalo-Miami game after Tua threw 5 touchdowns. So the problem with that, not only is ownership high, the pricing on that stack is really high, as the price for Hill and Waddle and Tua all were hiked up after last week. So I'm going to get Kirk Cousins at a reasonable $7,600 and target his favorite target, a guy with a huge ceiling, Justin Jefferson, and run that back with the guy that we talked about in cash, Amon-Ra St. Brown. What are your thoughts, Mike?
Yeah, no, I like it. I think we're going to see St. Brown have another good game. Justin Jefferson, looked like he might have been injured early in that game on Monday night, but he was fine. Huge ceiling for him. And I see you also had an opportunity to throw Adam Thielen in the game on your roster as well.
Yeah, he was just too cheap to ignore. And if I'm going to say in GPP that Kirk Cousins is going to have a big game, yes, he could have it just exclusively throwing to Justin Jefferson. But given the price of Thielen, I'd like to throw it in there and under the argument that maybe Cousins will spread the wealth between the two guys. I have another small stack. I have Philadelphia and Washington, which is also a high-scoring game. And I got Dallas Goedert on one side at a very reasonable price of $5,500, and Antonio Gibson running it back. We need to take advantage of the fact that Brian Robinson, I got that name right, I've screwed it up in the past, is still out. So Antonio Gibson is the bell cow and is a guy that's going to get involved in the passing game. I think this game shouldn't get too far out of scope. Should be a back and forth with Washington at home. The lines makers think it's going to be a close game at 3.5 points. So there's my small stack. Michael, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of Antonio Gibson. I like this matchup. You're betting a little bit on Washington, keeping this game close, and that's the only concern I have with this stack, but I do like it.
Yeah, I already talked about Leonard Fournette, but like Leonard Fournette, Josh Jacobs is favored. He is the primary ball carrier. He's going up against a Tennessee defense that has really struggled this year against running backs. And I feel like Jacobs could really break out this week. High ceiling for his price of $6,500. And we already said we're throwing Jacksonville back in the lineup, not only for the savings, but for the fact that if things break right as far as injuries, they actually can give us a high ceiling. So that's our GPP lineup. We also prepared a cash game and GPP lineup on DraftKings. Both of those videos are on the screen now. Check them out. Until we see you next time, take care, everybody.
Bye-bye. Be safe.